Tonight we explore other voices, inspired by the very first episode of In Search of, which asked, could there be intelligence beyond the human mind? We will also journey through experiments where living neurons interact with computers, adapt to their environments, and even play games without human control. I'm Roger Hanson. Tonight I'll be your host, and joining us tonight is my co-host, Sonia Galactic, and our esteemed panel. First, we have Jason Quigley, aka MC Dirty Work. Second, we have Vicky Voss. And third, we have Mark Edworthy. Now, with that being said, let's listen to the clip from In Search of Other Voices first before we go on to the discussion. I'd like to ask everybody to please mute out while this is taking place too. Wait, no, hold up. Go ahead.
It's already planned.
Okay, so I don't know why I keep doing that second time I did it. So what I want to do is while it's playing, since we're all here, let's kind of go through some of it and brainstorm on what we want to talk about when it comes to the show. Because I don't know if you guys are able to hear it or not, but we need to at least have something to go off of. You know what I mean? You guys okay with that?
I can't hear it.
I can't hear it either. I have to watch it on Rumble to hear it.
So basically, well, first of all, what Sonia, you want to kind of give a little background on the whole thing with the plants and with what was discussed with I keep forgetting his name.
Cleve?
No, yeah, with Cleve, yeah.
Okay. Well, apparently, Cleve Baxter, he actually was kind of one of the main inventors of the polygraph. And he ended up doing some experiments on plant life. It was a particular plant that had the ability to react just like a human skin would, to where it had a sort of a coating. I forget exactly what was on the outside of this plant. And do you remember the plant, Roger?
No, I don't remember the name of the plant. I know it had a thicker skin.
Yeah, like an outer coating kind of thing that would act like someone's skin. But and apparently plants are more sensitive as well because people have the fat layer going on there. So so he hooked it up to a polygraph basically, and found out that it reacted to even his thoughts, which is pretty astounding actually. So this actually proves that plants are telepathic, which is like, what? And this was back in what, the 70s, right, Roger? It was a while ago.
It was actually the first episode of In Search of, episode 1.
Wow.
Or season 1,
really?
episode 1, yes.
Wow.
And,
cool. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff for sure. It changes a lot of what we know now today to be like modern science. It kind of, it totally blows that crap out of the water for sure. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So that's actually, and this actual episode that we're fixing to watch, I watched it, but maybe you can elaborate more on that if you'd like to, or we could just go into it, whatever you want to do, Raj.
Now, well, they're actually playing it already, so.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just
then
not.
Maybe we should
now, the interesting part, first of all, cartography is a form of the form of photos when you can take photos of plants and see things with it, and and in this episode of In Search of, and they also mentioned it on the videos that you have, where in this episode what they did is they were able to use that form of photography so that they could see images that came from the plant as they would do things like take a match and light it. And when they lit it up, freaking, it actually created energy around where the plant would be in the photography. Okay. Then here on In Search Of, they also had another instance where when they took and they had a leaf that came off of a plant, they would scratch it and they would get a negative response from it. But then they would have a person who they determined was a green thumb go in and just run his hand over the top of it, and they seen that it had a better response with a person who was really good with plant life and stuff of that nature. So they did research like that. And then Baxter turned around and he also took and he did it with just bacteria. He put...
The bacteria had a reaction.
Right.
Well, the plant had a reaction to the bacteria dying, which is, you know, that band Screaming Trees. It reminds me of that whole thing.
Right. And what he did in this one with In Search Of is he took and he put what do they call it, antibacteria, anti something. You might know, Vicky, what I'm talking about. Anti something. Well, anyhow, it killed off the bacteria.
Antibacterial, you mean antibiotics?
Antibiotics, yeah. And it killed off the bacteria. So he turned around and he took another tube and he filled it up with yogurt. He did it in yogurt. That's one thing I should say. He did it in yogurt. He put whatever they call it. Antibiotics into it. Yeah, into the cultures. Yes, and it killed off the bacteria. So he turned around and he did it again with another one. And this time what he'd done is he took milk and he added it to one of the cultures and had another one sitting close to it. And it could actually sense that the other culture was getting fed this milk, the one that wasn't getting fed. And he was doing this with his lie detector, I guess it would be, that he had hooked up to it. He could actually detect all of this by using that, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So that's basically the gist of all the good stuff that I thought of. So if you guys want to kind of get into that first and see what we can come up with, what do you guys think about all that?
So the lie detector apparatus is connected to the plant, and the plant is jiving back and forth with the culture and these antibiotics killing the bacteria.
Yeah,
that's how it's being read.
Yeah, and it can also
in the
pick
70s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I know exactly what we're talking about here. Well, that's a trip, first of all. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, even just that, it had a major reaction. And the most exciting part to me is that when the guy Baxter just thought about burning the plant's leaf. He didn't take any matches. He hadn't done anything. He just thought about it, and the plant had a reaction like right afterwards. And apparently it stayed that way. Did he burn the plant? I think he did.
No, he said he lit it he lit the match real close to it, but he never actually touched it.
That's right. And then the plant stayed stressed out, I guess, until he actually left the room with the matches, and then the plant went back to normal.
And then he also had a lab assistant that would come in, and they would prick her finger, to show, there was discomfort or pain, and the plant reacted to that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And the eggs, there was one about eggs in the refrigerator. Like, as soon as the eggs started cooking in the pan, then the plant also had a reaction to that. So basically any living form around a plant, it senses that sort of thing. It's fascinating.
I found out that was pretty interesting too was when they took the plant, they stuck it in an environment for music, and they had this really subtle, calm music that they played for one, and then they took rock and roll and put it in another one. And the plant would actually lean towards the nice, subtle, calm music, and it would actually wither away and die and move away from the rock music,
Yeah, that's right.
which
Yeah.
I think they have
That
bad
heavy
taste.
metals.
Yeah. Yeah. Which,
My
Heavy
favorite
metal killed
band
the
is
plant.
Megadeth.
I guess
Yeah,
I guess
heavy
they
metal
were
kills
checking the wrong kind of plant.
mhm.
the plant. Right,
guess
right,
if they-
right. Right, Mark.
They played hip hop for it and just pull a gun out and shoot
Yeah,
itself.
something.
Yeah.
Start trying to shoot everybody in the room. No.
Yeah, yeah, not shoot itself. What am I saying? Yeah, not get suicidal, get homicidal.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'll put them out of their misery. No.
Start sagging its pants.
Yeah. Start
Have-
sagging. Start wearing bandanas. No. That's hilarious.
I can see this. Like a sunflower.
Yeah,
with the
right.
bandana on top
With
of
the
the
bandana.
sunflower.
Got a
Go
little
places with
pistol.
this.
A little
Mhm.
pistol on the side. It's hilarious. Oh my God, they're
Yeah,
making
a
bracelets.
sunflower
6
with
foot tall.
sunglasses and a bandana and an ascot, right?
Oh, and
Scooby Doo, look out!
a face
Maybe a
tattoo.
wallet
Don't
chain.
forget about that. Yeah, wallet chain. You gotta have a wallet chain. Mhm.
Isn't it the resonance frequency you're picking
No,
up on?
I did just get a message from Nancy. She said that she is in a business conference at the moment, and she will be joining us momentarily, which is cool. And she said sorry for it being last minute. I told her no problem, so it's fine. And with that being said, that's kind of what I wanted to have a conversation with at the first beginning, to bring out more of that conversation before we get into the more modern stuff, because I do want to get into the bio now I'm having brain fart. Yeah,
Biometrics?
the synthetic biological
Roger.
intelligence.
It's happening to everybody. So
The
it's okay.
biological intelligence stuff. I do want to get into that, but I also want to kind of focus a little bit on that topic as well, since it is the In Search Of, episode that's being talked about. Because I thought it was pretty interesting, and especially when it comes to this biological intelligence and computers and neurons and things of that nature. I personally feel that it connects 100%. You know what I mean? So that's basically what my breakdown is on it. And I think that would be pretty interesting. Now, Mark Edworthy, he might have an issue with it, because he hates artificial intelligence with a passion. You're muted, Mark. You're muted.
His eyes are making funny.
Yeah, you're muted out. Oh no, he's been muted out this whole time.
It's unlike him.
We can't hear you, man.
Yeah, we can't hear you, brother.
Can't hear you. Hit the
Don't
mute.
know why, but we can't hear you. We can see you.
Back out and
We
come
can't
back
hear you.
in. There he is. There he goes. Have him come back, and they usually fix the problem every time. Hopefully he can get back in.
That was like me the one
Okay,
time.
that's your cue. You can talk about him now.
He's back.
There he
I
is.
see his face. He's back.
There's now once he comes in, his audio should be up and running again, but there's no guarantee. It's been acting pretty strange when it comes to all of this here lately. I don't know what the deal is.
The last 4
Well,
days. have
Nancy
been
did
weird.
say that there were going to be some solar activity type stuff going
Yeah.
on. So, Still
Definitely
can't hear him.
interrupting.
Yeah, it's just his picture of his avatar on there right now for me. I don't hear nothing. he got shut down.
Oh no.
Those English people, man.
I was going to say in Britain, maybe.
I'm surprised they haven't picked him up for Vixen's fault.
Yeah, there he is. Hold up. He might be saying something. I see like a blue thing
Yeah, I
around
see the
it.
blue popping up. As
Yeah,
if
but
it's,
he's not coming through at all.
Yeah.
Tell him to replug his mic or something.
Hold
I
up.
don't know. But anyways,
He finally got
Okay.
it.
it's a good thing
There he is, there
we're
he
kind
is.
of on like a break. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, here it comes.
There he comes.
I can hear him now.
Yeah, I
Cool.
can hear him now. Okay, Mark, go for it. You got like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So
4.5.
I can't even remember what I was. Yeah, I know what I was asking. Is there any new stuff since the 70s on the subject? Has there been anything new?
now,
That's a very good question.
now the things that I have found about it, it comes down to when they were the whole research that they were doing when it came to growing neurons in the what do they call it? The brain. I've had it earlier, but dish brain project that they had, where they had taken neurons and they had put them in a dish, and they were literally training neurons how to play a video game. They were playing ping pong. Me and Sonia's actually had an episode about this, and I don't know for sure if Mark was there or not, but no, it was just me and her with Mr. Robot and a few others, and we were talking about this, where they would teach it consequences and rewards when playing this game. If they made the right move, then they would be rewarded with it, and if they made the wrong moves, there would be consequences to pay. So
I'd
Typical
love to
Pavlov.
know what the reward was.
I would too.
I was just saying, I'd love to know what the reward was for a
Oh.
little paramecium or whatever it was.
Can't be a hit of dopamine, that's for sure.
Yeah, right? Not for something that small.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm so
What was
curious
the
what the
reward?
reward was.
now I actually had the information in one of my talking notes. I could pull them up, but Mark doesn't want me to talk very much whenever the show comes on. But I can tell you that the neurons were rewarded for their actions. Now, me and Sonia were joking around about the consequences. You know what I'm saying? Where if they didn't make the right moves, they weren't rewards. They didn't say consequences, but that's basically what I said. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that
The typical Pavlov thing.
yeah. So they got that. That's actually a pretty good thing to talk about. Like,
Hmm.
I could probably pull that up and maybe bring it up in the thing if you guys want me to. So
Sure, absolutely. Mark, where is the video at? Because I'm not seeing it on Beam or
I'm not doing
know.
the video.
oh, okay, okay,
I'm playing an audio clip
okay.
on the radio side, and
Oh, okay.
you won't hear it on the on any of the video side
Okay, okay.
at all.
All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, we got about 4 minutes, and then we're back.
Sweet.
yeah, it's
I'll be right back, you guys.
it's really interesting how that basically all did work out. Now there's also another one. There's another research. There's some more research that took place, and it was concerning cortical labs. I don't know if you guys have heard about that before.
Yeah, I did it. I did after you showed me, after Vicky showed me the Cell One machine. I did researched the entire company. They've got good websites.
Now,
Informative.
And another thing that I was wanting to maybe go through is like the evolution of the concept for other voices. You know what I mean? From paranormal to like biological systems. Like for centuries, other voices were usually tied to like spirits, gods, demons, or entities that were outside of the human mind. You know what I mean? And then you had like in ancient Greece, where demons were thought to like whisper wisdom or madness into your ear, basically, and like
In
even
the oracles?
yeah.
In the oracles?
And then like Socrates himself, he'd always talk about hearing a guiding voice, things of that nature.
I was just thinking schizophrenia.
Mhm. Well, I mean, during the Middle Ages, if you stop and think about it too, like they were talking about, they were often seen as like angels or saints and, demons even that were intervening in everyday life. You know what I mean? So it's been there for a while. And then that's not even talking about like spiritualism in the 19th century when it comes to like seances and mediums and then like table rappings, you know what I mean? Which basically, it basically reframed all of that to like voices that were supposed to be like messages from the dead. That's something that I think's important to kind of bring up to kind of talk about that, and because it's interesting how the ending of In Search Of talks about it. It's like when you're say when you're asleep, okay, and you hear something in your head that says something happened to a friend of yours, and you wake up and lo and behold, something did happen to him.
Okay, 30 seconds, Roger.
Okay. What it implies is maybe the plants were sending you a signal and telling you subconsciously, which I found that kind of interesting. So.
For sure.
All right, here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you are live and back on the radio side right now.
To understand tonight's topic, consider early exploration of telepathy, plant perception, and other phenomena suggesting intelligence beyond conventional forms. The original In Search Of episode, Other Voices, investigated voices and messages from beyond, prompting questions about consciousness and the limits of human understanding. Today, scientists are growing neurons in the lab and connecting them to computers, creating systems that learn and adapt independently. We'll discuss the intriguing findings from the original In Search Of episode, along with today's scientific advancements in synthetic biological intelligence. The key questions we'll explore will be: first, can intelligence emerge outside a human brain? Second, can machines with living neurons represent a new form of life? Third, what philosophical and ethical challenges arise when consciousness is not bound to a human body? Fourth, might these systems someday communicate in ways humans cannot yet perceive? 5, can neurons in a dish experience memory or intention? And finally, how do we define consciousness in hybrid biological machines? Now, before we get started with the topic and letting everybody in the panel have a conversation, I want to open this up to my co-host, Sonia Galactic. so that she can start off the conversation with her take on this topic. So with that, I hand it over to you, Sonia. Did she ever come back? There you go.
I think she bailed on you.
Yeah, she unmuted. Cheers.
I'm sorry. I had to reload there.
Okay. So
Yeah, like
oh,
Metallica. I pulled a Metallica.
okay.
Ah,
So yeah, I'm opening it up to you, open the discussion up to you, and then after you're done, we will open it up to the panel and get their take on what they think of all of this.
okay. Well, should I just kind of go over what we talked about earlier, or no? Probably
yeah,
not,
go
because
ahead.
we have the video.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we're talking about plant communication. We're talking about how plants are actually telepathic, and they've been found to be that way through scientific experiments. There was something having to do with the polygraph in Cleve Baxter. There was something that they were saying it couldn't be repeatable or something like that. Is that what happened, Roger? Do you remember something about not fitting into the hypothesis, standard that science has? Remember that?
No, not exactly. I don't.
Okay, I think that maybe was further down the line there, maybe when they were working with yogurt or something. I can't really recall, but in any case, yeah. So I kind of didn't hear what you said right before me, so I'm kind of flying blind a little bit, but that's okay. So yeah, so plants are telepathic, and it's they actually have a reaction to all living beings around them, even bacteria. Whenever anything is accosted in any way, or any being around them is like hurt or harmed in any way, they have a reaction that is recordable on a polygraph machine, which is quite astounding, and I think that maybe we should, like, Mark Edworthy, what are you thinking about this? What do you find? How's this striking you?
Well, I can believe I've read white papers on the flame and the plant leaf experiment.
Yep.
And there's old British sort of saying about talking to the trees, and sort of Victorian saying, yeah, I can believe, I can believe it's possible.
Kind of
Breaking up.
he's kind of breaking up there. So
Yeah, he's breaking up. I don't know.
he's
They're censoring him from the UK. Sorry,
Yeah.
folks.
Right.
he
The old Ivy heard you.
yeah. Now the whole concept of other voices when it comes to the paranormal, to biological systems too, that is something that really stuck out to me whenever we were talking just now. I mentioned it, and I find it interesting that well, Vicky, for one, we've had conversations about her husband and Arpad, basically, you know what I'm saying? Who, when you were talking about chemical plumes and stuff, and that is something that really stuck out to me with this topic, you know what I mean? Because I remember his tech talk, and he actually had the audio sound of what death sounds like.
Yeah, they keyed it in the key of C, and it actually was like a melody that followed the elements that were being given off at the time, and it actually made a little melody, which was contrasted to the pig sound, which was like, a blast. So that was that never would have occurred to me to put it to music like that. It was just, but I guess when you're using it, you could tell according to the sound, the music it would play, how far along it was in the death um, decompositional process.
Mhm. Now, while you're actually here, that would actually be a good. You think you could elaborate on some of that? Because I know we've had conversations of that in the past, but that would actually kind of help out with understanding what's happening here on a biological level too. Because I found that pretty interesting. So if you could probably kind of go over some of that a little bit so that the people listening will know what we're talking about.
Um, this it was his PhD thesis, which it was not a new um, technique. It was a new sample. The human body going through the whole decompositional process and the off giving of all the elements and chemicals and um, volatile fatty acids and all these kind of things. They studied them over time, but they correlated it with the weather data. So they could see whether, cold weather, stopped the decompositional process, and then hot weather and advanced it. So when you found a body, when you went to go and assign that time since death, his research had already come up with a formula. It's a seventh order differential calculus that was the formula that you could put in, and also with the weather data that you could plug into the formula, and then it would tell you the final number would be the number of the dates, is it that window of time the person died, and they talk about degree days and that kind of things. But before then, before his research, they didn't have any way of, they couldn't lock down time since death, which made it kind of difficult if you've got a suspect, if you saw him in the area at that time when the formula was plugged in and used and came out with that window of time and he was there, then you have something to go on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other papers he's written are on odor mortis. There's the three mortises which we all know of. In the death scene, it would be livor mortis, rigor mortis, and algor mortis. Okay. So that would be, but now there's odor mortis too. And what ARPAD was trying to get, has taught law enforcement to do is actually get air samples. Like if you come up on a scene and they've been there a while, say it's, find a missing person, you can take those samples and whether it's fresh or like a crime scene, because it can also pick up on drugs, and
Wow.
whether those were in play or not, which is useful information. And and the actual death process, if the person really is truly dead, then it actually starts pretty much immediately. And so that found that kind of interesting. They immediately start to decay. And let's see about the plant things. If there's a clandestine burial, and the body is, usually people, if they're hiding a body and they dig a little grave, they don't go down real far. They don't go down 6 feet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they won't go down. But that decompositional products, they will run off into get into the groundwater. It seeps in, and it will also go to the plants and around there and be absorbed. This is kind of gross.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Mhm.
So, but so I knew that there was.
This is a little bit off topic, but it has to do with what you're talking about, and I just figured I would mention it real quick. It has to do with a couple of things. It has to do with the programming that they're putting out on Netflix in particular, but also what they're actually doing in the world. And I haven't done a lot of research on this. I haven't really done any research. I've just kind of been listening to a couple of folks who've looked into this, and they put out, they liquefy bodies, and they use it as kind of a manure in places. And there's a lot that say that this is done on crops like that we eat and things like that, which, since it's such a satanic type of system that we find ourselves in, I'm not super surprised about that. But there again, like, I haven't done a lot of research on that. However, in the programming part, like the mind programming or narrative type they're putting out on Netflix, I just watched a show the other night. I don't remember what show it was, but they were joking about how, oh, well, grandma, would you eat I remember, it was the Leanne show. She's a comedian, actually. And she has like a little sitcom thing she's doing on Netflix. And they were talking about how their mom or whatever, that's grandma, was gonna, they're gonna put her near an apple tree. They're gonna put her in the, let's just do the manure system that they're doing. Let's use that. And well, would you eat an apple if she was on the, in the manure? And they laughed about it and stuff. So, they're kind of normalizing that sort of thing. And it kind of has a little bit to do with what you were talking about. So I just thought I'd pop that in there.
Arpad said they on Haiti, because they really kind of can't go deep in the ground. That it's composting, and I think that it's called green burials. So, and that's what they do. Yeah.
Yep.
Because
crazy.
Yeah, it's.
It doesn't seem right to me at all, really, especially if it's on crops that we eat.
The problem is that even these cemeteries and things that you go down, after a while, don't they have to rotate them around?
Sure, absolutely.
They have to do that because it goes down, and then it is going to go into the water, and it is going to. So you want to make sure where you place those things. I guess maybe the Romans had the right idea. I think they had burial grounds that were outside the city.
Yeah, imagine the Romans having a good idea. For real.
Well,
I mean, looking at where we're at today, that is.
Well, they were pretty much, if they were here today, they'd be looking at our roads. They were fascinated by that, how to travel. They were engineers. That's what, you get a postcard from them saying, wish you were here. And then you'd see a bridge or some sort of road.
Got to get around, huh?
Yeah, they got to get around. Yeah.
That's a good thing. For sure.
But they sure know how to employ the people that had the good ideas. Let me put it that way.
That too, as well.
Yeah. Here, you get over here, work for me. Do it now.
Yeah, I was going to say, if not, then just enslave them.
Well,
it's kind of it.
All of it.
It's kind of it. Yeah, it's kind of the thing with them, I think.
Yeah. So, but I have to say, having been in Rome, their water is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how. It's really, really good.
Really?
Yes. I've never tasted better
like
water.
The tap water?
Yeah. They have, yeah. Well, and it's water like you can get at like water fountains outside and everything. It's fantastic. It's really good water. Tastes wonderful. I don't understand it.
Maybe it's like that everywhere. Just our water is horrible.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Well, they probably don't add
European
fluoride.
water is always better than European.
It would be interesting to look into that. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
Now,
I was just saying European water is always better quality than the US state waters,
Right.
tap water.
Of course.
that is.
Of course.
now, before we continue, I do want to admit that we were able to get within the vacuum in, and I'd like to welcome you into the panel and
Yes.
say thank
Welcome,
you for
Isaac.
showing up. He's
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having me.
okay.
Yes. Very happy to see you here.
So,
Thanks. As always.
Jiva also came into the chat room. He said he got a notice that the show was starting, but he is already a sleepy boy. So he's going to skip out. And thank you for stopping in and confirming with us.
Yes. Thanks, Jiva. He's
Yeah.
awesome.
Now, have you been able to keep up with the talking points and everything that we're talking about within?
Well, until certain point, but no, I don't have the whole picture. But go on.
Okay.
I'll try to keep up. Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, I will go ahead and shut my mouth and let you guys keep talking. But I do want to say something to Vicky though. ARPED, the thing about that research that he did that amazed me wasn't only about that. It was, first of all, it was about the technology that they were developing, but second, it was about the chemical plumes too. You know, that was one thing that just blew my mind away about it. And Mr. Robot, I talked to him about it, and he didn't seem to get the whole concept of it because, like, we have noses and we can smell stuff, but he didn't understand the implications of what was going on there in that research. You know what I mean? Like, body can be buried under the ground or down in the water, and they can detect it.
It's pretty fascinating, actually.
So I'm gonna shut up.
What he has now is far better, but that one but works off a different energy force and principles. I just had a question on the when you said that the lie detector was hooked up to the plants. Was it just as many electrode type things as you put on a person? Because it does have many electrodes. Obviously, the energy they're measuring is electrical.
They would
correct?
use
right.
use like, I think it was like 4 to 6, and for the smaller samples, like when he went back into doing like bacteria, it'd be only like 2. He put an electrode on one side of the cup or the petri jar and another one on the other side, and he would pick up from this, all sorts of reactions from it.
Yeah.
So
Apparently, the idea was that people's skin, we have a fat layer over our skin pretty much everywhere for the most part. So with a plant, there is none of that sort of thing going on. So it's apparently it comes out a lot more sensitive. If you look at a regular plant's or a regular person's polygraph, excuse me, there's like kind of a soft line when it bumps up and down, and with a plant, it's immediate. It's like a huge, abrupt jump. So there's that. Maybe that kind of helps a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we know that plants have to adapt to their surroundings. I mean, that's how they protected themselves and survived, because the ones that, say there was some parasite or some, bird or bug that came and ate their fruit and whatever. So they had to, adapt. And that's why you'll see some of these crazy, like poison ivy,
Right.
that had to be an adaptation to help it survive
Mm-hmm.
from whatever. And I know if anybody has grown anyone grow grapes or like a vineyard? It just amazes me because that every year they get a different, pest that tries to attack their crop. And I can't imagine, trying to keep
Right.
up
And the
with
plant has to kind of change each time,
Mhm. It has
Yeah.
to adapt in order for it to. So I think there has to be some way that it communicates to the other plants within that,
Right.
vineyard.
In the
And
environment, for sure. That's a great point.
I'm just
oh,
wondering.
they release chemicals. That's
I'm
what
just
our vet
wondering.
said. They release chemicals.
I,
That okay, go ahead.
I'm I'm just wondering. Has there been any experiments done on fungi? You're talking about plants here,
Yeah,
but
bacteria that I've heard of, not fungi though. I
Okay.
haven't heard anything
That's a
about.
great question.
That is a good one
That is a great question.
because
It
there's a
is.
big difference.
We got to step up
Yeah.
our game, Raj.
Well, this has got very limited information when it comes to like the older stuff. To be honest with you, now
Yeah. Well, part of the reason is because it's been hidden. They don't want everyone knowing about this kind of thing. So
right
there's that.
now for me personally, whenever
Baxter's keeping it on the DL.
Baxter was trying to bring it out, bro. But
No,
But-
no,
Oh,
I do think when Nancy comes in,
But everyone
this is going to turn around into being a frequency and vibrational talk
yeah.
Yeah.
because
yeah.
the plants are picking up the frequency and vibration of someone getting hurt or
That's right.
or pleasure. The same with the
That's
way
right.
it picks up sound and things like that as well.
Sound as
My-
well. Yeah.
my
The
husband-
whole environment.
And my husband's technology has changed to frequency and
Yeah.
which is frequency based in quantum physics, which is actually much
Fantastic.
quicker. But he does still work with the canines, the cadaver canines, and because and usually he'll match the sciences with the olfactory, wonderful abilities that the dog has because they can pick up on 500 chemicals. That's what they're
Yeah.
smelling, and they know. And so they recognize electromagnetic fields too. They're really amazing. Your German shepherds, these dogs that are Labradors that are used as cadaver dogs or search and rescue dogs.
Bloodhounds, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
They have their olfactory is like so much.
It's amazing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 500 chemicals, and they remember. That's too. I mean, they remember your scent. If they see you 5 or 10 years later, they remember who you are by your smell. It's just sort of, they're really amazing.
Yeah.
And but the nice thing about the resonance frequency is that it can go pick up underwater, under cement.
Wow.
It can pick up on DNA from one drop of blood from 20 years earlier from that
Wow.
person. So it's just, but my husband was saying the plants are, the frequency, they put out chemicals. It's amazing that they do that, but in response to a threat, but they do. So,
And in response to threats of other beings around them, which is I find very fascinating because that tells you they're much more conscious than most people, or that we're led to believe, kind of thing.
well, it's probably a rudimentary type of.
For sure.
It's rudimentary kind of. They're not really conscious in the sense that they're thinking, maybe what am I going to do today?
Yeah.
But even like on this new research that comes out, it was talking about brain cells, and you got to have more than one brain cell. I mean, you got to have different types. And they were talking about how they work together, and what is the minimum number brain cells types that you could have together. And then they looked at this particular nematode that kind of doesn't need a host body. It's a parasite, but it doesn't need it's not a parasite, I guess. It doesn't need a host body. It can kind of function on its own. And that was, fascinating. But apparently that's the one, I guess, that they got that information. It's
That's making me
minimum
think of
viable brain cells.
Mm-hmm.
that's making
that
me
would
think of
work.
mycelium, like the whole mushroom thing that's going on. Like underground, they're all connected, kind of thing.
Now,
You guys know
with
about that?
me, when we were having the conversation before the show started, we were talking about dish brain, the dish brain project, and with that kind of research that's taking place, as well as what you guys are discussing, it kind of makes you it kind of challenges like the long-held distinctions between what's natural and what's synthetic. You know what I mean? When it comes to that, I think that's really what sticks out here, because like there's technology involved in everything that you guys are talking about right there. You know what I mean? And the first thing that really got me curious about this topic was actually something that I heard a long time ago. When it comes, I don't know if you guys, I was talking to Sonya about this, but you guys remember the original black and white movie for The Thing? With James Arness as playing the monster. The scientists were there and they were talking, and I remembered seeing it, and it said something about vines being able to communicate with one another over long distances. And that always stuck to me. And then when I first seen this episode of In Search Of, I think that really is what caught me when it came to In Search Of. And I didn't get curious about that TV show until later on in my life, you know what I mean? But it really caught my attention. This is probably one of the best episodes that you could ever watch, to be honest with you. I mean, to be honest, if you didn't... Oh, go ahead.
I was listening earlier about fungi, mycelium, that is not only underground, it's not just for the forest, but everywhere. Like this world appeared to be a fungi world. An interconnectivity of information so vast that includes us and the earth and everything in it, and we are just hallucinating in the middle of this super mind, like
Yeah.
and imagining all the individualities, and like we actually what it's interesting is that if you think about it, like there's theories about lattice. I don't know if you're familiarized with this term. Lattice is some sort of net of that includes every beat in the field in the so it's interesting, but that's it.
Okay. Here are some intriguing facts and details about synthetic biological intelligence in the spirit of the Other Voices episode. 1. Microelectrode arrays detect action potentials from individual neurons with extraordinary precision. 2. Lab-grown neurons can control virtual environments to complete tasks using only their biological responses. And 3. Feedback systems mimic reward and consequence, guiding learning in the neurons. And 4, and finally, hybrid systems like the CL1, which is through Cortical Labs, integrate human neurons with circuits for adaptive computation, bridging biology and technology. Consider the implications. Intelligence may exist beyond the human body. learning and adapting independently. What does this suggest about consciousness and the limits of life? And with that, I'm going to open it up to within the vacuum and let him continue where he left off. So with that,
Hey,
go ahead.
man, but beyond the human body, it's like, it's like it's obvious that there's intelligence beyond humans. I mean, the Earth is an organism huge beyond, the Earth creates animals and everything that we use. We took it from the Earth. This computer, everything we have. So it's obvious that there's beyond intelligence, if someday we get, to the point to achieve, I don't know, super intelligence or whatever, I'm pretty sure that Earth's intelligence will immediately get in contact with that other system. If it's aligned in the it has to be aligned with natural processes, right? And that communication will be obvious. I mean, if the intelligence is that vast, like to take into account every aspect of what we are and what the Earth is, and it has to be some, it's just imagination, but it should be something like that. I mean, I don't know. It's like beyond the human body. We're just little particles in this whole game, but we pretend to be the protagonist of the movie, but we are not. We're just a little part of it. We are participating and, like having this experience, which is amazing, and of course, but we go back to the question that is not in the list, but it's important. And these days, that with all this convulsion in the world and everything that is happening, I think it's important to go back to the roots, and that led us to some sort of question that might be like what we are, what we really are, what is our function, not morally, not not in any of our own I mean our own narrative, but technically, like on the root, like what is human beings supposed to do on the earth, right? And that in that way, I don't know, that could lead us to a deeper understanding of what we are and how we are all connected, probably through fungi or something, right? And it's important to realize that in order to to stop the bias, the polarization of humans against each other, like and go beyond that, and go beyond the narratives, and see the human, the other, the like we are all the same. We are bloomed differently, but we all came from the same seed, right? Call it what you want.
Sounds good.
Right. Yeah.
Now, earlier we were having a discussion about the dish brain thing, so I did pull up some information to kind of go along with it. And what I found was this. Okay, one of the most fascinating developments about the dish brain experiment, which was conducted by a team of researchers based out of Australia and led by Cortical Labs, in collaboration with multiple neuroscientists and bioengineers, was the fact that the project centered around the concept of growing living neurons in a controlled laboratory setting and connecting them directly to a computer interface. Okay. Now these neurons were then given a task to complete, and that was playing a simple video game. And that was using nothing but their inherent biological abilities to process signals. That had no assistance whatsoever with AI or any kind of computer program, just the neurons doing it on their own. And they found out that these neurons could play Pong without being connected to the human body whatsoever, or any kind of body, you know what I mean? And that was what I found to be fascinating there. So I pulled that up, and I was finally able to give you guys an idea about what the dish brain was. And no, they did not say what the consequences were, but you know that the consequences would be severe if they didn't comply and do as they were told. So with that, I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys. But I did find out the information, just so you know. So,
Thank you for sharing that.
what's your guys' thoughts on that, of neurons being able to function outside of the human body? You know what I mean? To be able to complete tasks only using
Well,
their
You
own.
have to have a particular media and that they're able to live in and continually
in.
provide their energy.
Yep.
It has to be a certain media, I guess, pH, salinity, all that kind of thing, and that is very specific, and it has to be continuous, or else they'll die.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Would-
thinking that neurons do that anyway. That's their job. That's what they're designed to do. So if they have, like Vicky was saying, if they have the right medium, then they'll function that particular way, no matter where they are, kind of thing. You know?
That's why it's a
So-
neural network.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not
and then
surprised.
they know how to. So then you have to, and they probably are not all the same. That's what that article was saying too. That you have to. It's just not one brain cell. That type of brain cell. You've got many brain cells that make up the brain. So yeah, and they had to decide.
Right.
I do know that they had to like deal with these neurons like they would any other biological element or substance. They had to make sure that it stayed clean, make sure that the waste was removed, stuff of that nature. So, like, this is actually a biological system with a computer interface. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and what I learned from it was the only downfall to this kind of programs is they only have like a 6-month lifespan, and
Right.
they can't retain the memory after that 6 months. So you have to basically start all over again with it. You know.
Well, if these neurons
Do
are
you
taken
remember-
from humans,
Mhm.
they would. Oh, Isaac.
No, I was in the. If you, Roger, remember, I think Jolly or someone in the imaginary shared an article about this same thing, but with fungi. They try it with mycelium, and like mycelium computers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that seems more quantum to me, actually. But what I was going to say is that if these neurons are used to working in particular systems, and if they're taken from humans, or the yeah, I am assuming that they were taken from humans, which certain neurons are used to, like Arpad was saying, how your plants they evolve in their environment. So neurons obviously would evolve in their environments as well, because we have nerves all over our body. So brain cell nerves, or they would be different than, say, ones in your toes, kind of thing. So Roger, do you know what type of brain cells or what type of nerve cells they were experimenting with?
They said that it got to the point where it was beyond even having to use, like with neurons, you don't even have to pull them
Okay.
from the human body or any kind of thing. They can actually
Oh, okay.
reproduce them synthetically as well. Like they don't
Wow.
they don't have to be taken from a human or an animal. They can literally produce neurons.
That's kind of crazy
Yeah, it
sounding,
really is.
actually. For
So,
sure.
so that was an interesting thing too. On top of what they were saying in this research as well, because like they're talking about biological process signals. You know what I mean? They're really getting into the whole the whole idea that they can do these tasks, okay, and they can learn them on their own how to do these tasks, and they don't have to come from the human body, they don't have to come from the human brain, anything. They can just on their own learn how to do it, you know, which I think that is probably the most amazing part about this whole thing.
It's pretty extraordinary, for sure.
It can be just completely independent of the human body or
Hmm.
animal or plants even, you know. They can function on their own as a so that's basically I don't know if I answered that good or not, but
That makes sense to me. A lot more questions come to mind, though.
mm,
So plants have nervous systems, is that right?
yeah,
No.
neurons.
No,
Oh, wow.
they don't have
Well,
neurons.
yeah,
They
that
don't
kinda
have
just shows
neurons?
how retarded I am.
Do they?
I was a high
Well,
school dropout, so
Vicky,
you
what
know.
was you saying? They don't have neurons?
Nope.
Okay, so
They don't. They're not like we have neurons. They have chemical receptor sites
okay,
and photosynthetic receptor sites that take that information that they're getting, and then it will respond appropriately, like with the light and with the chemicals, and, putting it out, or uh, if they need to for the chemical, and the other one is the light. Whatever they do, but it's not a neuron like we have neurons. It's not a biologic neuron. Plants don't have that, and
Thank you.
I,
so
I, I might be wrong, but uh, I think that as complex as the system, it's perception, probably. I don't know. Like like when we are very complex. We have emotional center. That's
Yeah.
very deep, right? So in order to but because we are very complex beings, but plants doesn't feel or think, like it's not the same because it's not that complex. I mean,
yeah, they have receptor sites that
yeah,
give
yeah.
information. But
Might be, I don't know, I might be wrong, but it appears to
they,
me.
they do have those, and they function. They give the plant information, and then the plant will act accordingly, and that's biologically determined by the type of plant, and it wouldn't have survived long if it couldn't do those things to help it survive. So, but it's not a brain cells. Even brain cells look very different than other cells in the body. So if you have a dendrites and all those kind of things, they're different. In fact, the article had said that they those brain cells, you have to have a variety of different types. Like they were talking about 30. What is the minimal brain cell types that you have to make it function on the whole, as a intelligence? And it was 30, I think. And they compared it to that particular C. elegans, that nematode that's transparent. But apparently that also has 30 cells that help it to survive independently with not having a host to live off of.
so let me revisit a question that
Wow.
I mentioned at the beginning for you guys. So Could neurons in a dish experience memory or intention? What are your thoughts? Is it memory or intention?
Wow. You mean intention from others or their intention?
Just
Or the
intention.
neurons' intention? Just
Yes.
intention.
Yes.
It's kind of general, you know.
Mark Edworthy's been real quiet here lately, so I think maybe we should get an intellectual
Let's.
comment.
I thought that it was reactionary because if you have two molecules of the same type and you mess with one of them, no
100th
matter the
monkey.
distance, the other one will be affected.
100th monkey. High five, Jason.
Right
So
out.
maybe that's how it works
For
with
sure.
plants, since
Yeah.
it's a more
Yeah.
simplistic life form.
You're probably right about that. That makes a lot of sense.
Well,
Mark,
if the water
Edworthy?
media,
yes, go ahead. Sorry, Rick.
the water, we know that in quantum computers, it stores information in the electrons in the water molecules. So
Yeah.
there would be memory in there.
Mhm.
Whether they would be able to, I mean, that's where it would be storing memory and other information.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I know that it does get hooked to a synthetic or a chip.
Hmm.
Is that correct? I was
Yes.
trying to. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Seems like they could bypass that whole thing if you've got the quantum computer with the water, has all the information stored in the electrons in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, water has memory, you know,
Yeah.
anyway. So
Right.
there you go. There you go. Mark Edworthy, what is your concerning question that you have, or your tidbit here?
I remember there was lots of experiments done about 10, 15 years ago about using organic matter as a storage device. So like a hard drive or and they were using sort of various sort of sea
Breaking up.
But that's all.
Yeah.
Say it again. You're breaking up. Say it again.
Yeah.
Storage device is the last part we had.
Yeah. Using seaweed, but
Seaweed,
as for
okay.
and other organic matter, but I don't know.
Now, we actually are coming up on our next break, I believe, aren't we, Mark?
30 seconds.
Yes. So with that, let's take a quick break, and we will come back and continue this conversation here after our short break.
Sweet.
All right, we're on radio break.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Now, I do have some information too that we can talk about the microelectrodes arrays, and this is where it gets really interesting. It starts talking about how microelectrode arrays, how they're a small device, and they have like tiny electrodes, and they basically can. They can actually talk to neurons. They can actually listen to them and respond to them.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's like a microphone board, a neural.
Who's doing that?
It's being done through a microelectrode arrays, which is called an MEA.
Yeah, but with which company, which laboratory?
Cortical Labs would they're the ones that are really getting into this. A lot of the terminology goes according to see, back when I first heard about it, they were calling it wetware, and now they've changed it to bioengineering or stuff like that. But what I was really used to hearing it as back in the day was wetware, and that was a big topic that they were talking about in the early 2000s. And now they've started changing the terminology on it, basically. So Cortical Labs was notorious for it, and then the Dish Brain project, which I actually learned off of Nancy whenever she posted it on her chat first, and that's what got me back into that whole area, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, usually anything with the project on the name of it has to do with DARPA or something like that.
Oh, don't get Mark started with DARPA. He gets all rebellious and stuff.
Does he?
Yeah.
Do you, Mark?
Yeah.
Dude, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not difficult
Uh-huh,
research, okay? It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Project Satan. All right. Spraying that sulfur over UK. Gotta love it. How's your clouds over there right now? Is it still always like London fog? Come on. Or does it taste like hell when you wake up in the morning with all the sulfur that they're pouring into the air?
Poor guy.
More than sulfur, for sure.
Yeah. Project Satan.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that.
It's got a
one.
big picture. When the planes fly over, it's got a big picture of Roger on it. But anyways.
When the love clouds come over, it has a big picture of Roger, okay?
Yeah.
Get it right. Get it right.
You can smell the sulfur, and it wasn't from him dropping bombs either.
All right, then.
Gotta love it.
I have to tell you a funny story about mushrooms.
Oh, please.
Uh-oh.
Okay, no. And this is
the wrong crew to do that with. You know that, right?
Not so much. Not so much.
Yeah.
We got me and Isaac here, so there you go. Go for it, Vicky.
Okay, my neighbor was walking down the street and walked by our yard, which happened to be sprouting a few mushrooms near the periphery, where the gutter is, and she looked at our house, and
30
they
seconds.
were quite large, and then she asked me later if she was wondering if we had buried something in the yard, and that's why somebody in the yard, and that's why it was growing funny. That is my funny story about fungi.
Anyways, here's your countdown, Roger.
Okay.
5, 4,
Thanks,
3, 2, 1. And you're back live and on the radio set for the last time tonight. Right now.
Now we explore synthetic biological intelligence in depth. Neurons grown in controlled environments connected to circuits, forming adaptive learning machines. Consider this through the lens of In Search Of. If intelligence can exist beyond conventional brains, could these hybrid systems be considered a new kind of consciousness? That's the question I want to know. Could these hybrid systems be considered a new kind of consciousness?
Well, they've already done that in terms of Sonia, if you remember. Or wasn't that its name? Sonia? The, let me think. The Saudi Arabian robot.
Actually
got
Sophia.
it got Saudi Arabian citizenship. So
Same thing.
here you've got, literal iRobot, the movie, come to life. And this was, I think, 2018. So this is like a long time ago. And they gave this thing Saudi. I mean, women couldn't drive over there, I don't think, at the time. They can now. But I guess Sonia could. I don't know.
Right. That's the
I think
citizenship
I,
for a
I
lot,
think
right?
that all of that. I think that all of that
Yep.
is just
Yep.
marketing. You know, the whole
Yeah,
thing about the nationality and the
I
it's
agree.
not conscious. It's just a basic LLM doing
Yeah, come
basic.
on. Godzilla is a freaking citizen of Japan. Come on. I want him to, disavow his citizenship and join the American, pride that we got here. Yeah,
I say, well,
let's go.
Godzilla's
Let's
definitely not
go, man.
Chinese.
For real.
They're
We'll
really
show
a
them.
crew of heroes. Yeah, robotic heroes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. No, it's interesting because it explores. It goes in certain direction. It's valid to explore that angle. What if we provide sensors to something similar to us in order to get different electrical pulses, and it makes
Mhm.
sense with gathering data from that perspective is interesting. Probably it's fitting something that they have. I don't know.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Most likely.
I think this all ties into that kaiju Biolante, the Rose Godzilla. There you go.
Now, see that
Right.
the thing that really gets to me is like when I was talking about those microelectrodes. Okay, they read and transmit neural signals. Okay, now they are basically a small device with a lot of tiny electrodes. And basically, they're little conductive points that can detect or stimulate electrical activities. Now, each electrode is so small that it can interface directly with neurons or a small cluster of neurons. Okay. Now, the whole thing about that is it's and like I said, it's like a microphone board. Okay. Now, this what it does is it lets researchers both listen to neurons as well as talk back to them, so they can literally communicate with these neurons through this technology. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that well, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, about what you were saying. It's a parenthesis that, again, I might be wrong, but it appears to me that we are discovering this because if you notice, you start talking about cells, and then you go to neurons, and then you go deeper into smallest
Mm-hmm.
and smaller. You're going down into what the fractal theories and all these geometrical aspects of when you go that deep, it's what you have, just that those kind of parameters that so the thing is that it's already happening, and we are probably discover it. It's happening already. Yeah, we don't have control over ourselves or anything. Good news.
Kind of like with a lot of things that are going on, we're discovering it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, what really is fascinating about me with that is like when you compare a lot of this stuff with the human brain. Okay. First of all, like with learning, learning happens with the human brain through plasticity. You know what I mean? That's strengthening or weakening of synaptic connections between neurons. Okay. So when a signal repeatedly travels along the same pathway, synapses are reinforced. Okay. That's cells that fire together, wire together. Basically, that's one of the old sayings that they usually have. Now, this mechanism, it usually allows us to like form memories, recognize patterns, and refine skills and stuff like that. So at its core, biological learning is about adaptive signal transmission. Okay. Now, in computers, especially when it comes to AI or LLMs, like Mark likes to call them, in machine learning, learning is usually about adjusting weights in algorithms that mimic synapses. So instead of neurons firing, you have nodes in a network that adjust their influence on one another. You know. Now, that doesn't mean that computers are learning biologically, but they are approximating it mathematically. You know what I mean? They're reinforcing connections that reduce error in predictions and stuff like that. So that's the thing that I think is so amazing about it. It's the synthesizing of the human brain when it comes to plasticity, because that's very important when it comes to the human brain. That's something that we have that computers don't quite have. You know what I mean? So I know Vicky is a nurse. She's into cool stuff like this. So what's your take on that, Vicky?
Yeah, I was looking at it. I thought it was interesting that they, talked about that optimizing the wetware, because the positive things about the, to reinforce that learning of the brain cells, they like being able to have a, a stable ability to, connections, that it goes smoothly. And if you have, if those are, if they have connections which are random or chaotic electrical signals, they don't like that. So that's their negative reinforcements. And so the predictability they seek out connections that produce energy efficient, predictable outcomes. I think that's kind of interesting that, they would even try to use operant conditioning, because that's what that is. And that's and that's not as high level as what Roger was talking about, but I thought that was kind of funny that the positives are that they have predictable, energy efficient, smooth connections. And otherwise, like on the radio show, when it fades out and you can't hear and that kind of thing, they don't like that. So, and the wetware is how they keep that going. But yeah, the whole thing is kind of amazing to me. I mean, how they're using brain cells to power this and keep the information in, a lot of information, and then connect it. It says it's connected to a software-based system to be operated in real time. That's correct?
It's supposed to be.
Right.
I don't know for sure if that's actually the case, because it's like me and Mark, we've had these conversations so many times, and he's a skeptic on that one. So, like, what they claim and what's actually happening, that's even debatable for me too. But I know Mark probably would have something to say about that, wouldn't you, Mark? Patashik, or no, Edworthy.
More said, really, I'm just skeptical of there are hardware, as you demonstrated with the CL1 device. There are hardware methods.
You're breaking up real bad, Mark.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm just skeptical.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my whole point too, and it's like within the vacuum was talking about branding too as well, commercialism, basically like that. And I know that we've had conversations about that at one point. So, I mean, until I see the actual technology in front of my face, I'm not gonna believe anything that I hear when it comes to a lot of these, what they're saying. But
Agreed. Same.
because like,
Well, it's supposed to be, like a published paper or something, right? When you're like published, putting out some sort of new theory or something, or at least a prototype that people can like and document, and it has to be documented, right?
mhm,
That's very important. In order to be valid for infinite research. I mean, right? That would be the purpose, because you get to neuron, you get to the Greeks have these embedded in their language. I mean, the how time function. Like they have these identified these patterns in the psychic. So they probably were. I don't know if they were. Yeah, they probably were conscious about this. The thought is has a technical aspect as well. So that's how deep you can go when you're thinking about these systems. You can go to the non-existence, because it's there. It doesn't matter. It's just an infinite gradient, right? From the manifested world, which is what we have, that appear to come from each beat that comes from another field that contains all possible possibilities, right?
mhm,
But we have a reality that is easy. It's a perfect interface, right? We breathe. We live very well. We live according to our environment, so it's intelligent, right? It's supporting us. It's the perfect amount of composition in the oxygen that we have and everything. But that's the key. The key is in the middle. How an infinite amount of possibilities is manifested into a reality as almost perfect as we are, until we have like until we start to participate and co-create, right? That's our responsibility, at a certain point. But at the same time, the real administration of what we see as our world is, it's contained inside other vastness that we don't even can't even think about it, right? We don't have the capability to understand what that is, right? So yeah, it goes there. The thing is how mathematically you can identify what's going on from the infinity to limitation and something concrete to be useful for us in this dimension, right?
right,
Because we're talking about a field that contains one version of me, of this meeting, where we all are like little differences, all of them, right? But we have all this steady one that we experience, right? So it's something like that. I don't know if I explain myself. I'm doing my best.
you're fine. No,
It's the co-creation thing that's causing that.
now,
Yeah, for sure.
now
I know what you're talking about.
one thing I do want to talk about and bring up too is like when you pair like living neurons with computers or AI, the same principle applies when it comes to adaptation, okay? But now adaptation happens at two levels. One, you have the biological adaptation where neurons physically they're physically rewiring themselves over time. And then after that, you have the computational adaptation where algorithms are learning from neural patterns and adjusting how they interpret or respond, okay? This creates a feedback loop where each side shapes the other, okay? So if you let this system run long enough, adaptation could take on evolutionary characteristics, basically. And like you'll hear people talking about these programs becoming autonomous and being able to work on their own, and that's what they're eventually wanting to create, is an autonomous system that'll be able to think and adapt on its own. You know what I mean? And that's something that I do find very, very much interesting when it comes to that. And I know that that's a big topic today when it comes to artificial intelligence or LLMs, you know. So with saying all that, I wanted to get your guys' feed on that and what you think about what I have just talked about. If anything there sticks in your heads.
Yes. It said that what's going along with what you said, SBI is inherently more natural than AI, and they leverage by leveraging neurons as a computational substrate. SBI has the potential to create systems that exhibit more organic and natural forms of intelligence compared to traditional silicon-based AI. And I think that's what you were just saying.
Yeah.
That that by using the neurons, that there is a greater possibility that it will go into, and I guess people are wanting to have it, you know, sentient and autonomous. But that's interesting that they are using that as a computational substrate, you know, neurons, how we think. They're not using the chips and the all the traditional silicon-based AI. And that is interesting to see how different that will be. And because if people were able to call up or, you know, connect with these types of computers to get, you know, what we would usually put at Chat GPT, you know, that kind of thing. It'd be interesting to see the difference between the two.
You know what this brings to mind for me real quick is that how in the Bible it says that we're made in the image of God, and we're making things in the image of us, kind of thing. So
that's what stuck out to me too. That really, when I hear this, I mean, if you really think about what we're discussing here, we're talking about creating a computer system that is thinking on neurons without using the electronic devices like the chips and the AI and all that. This is actually thinking straight off of the neurons.
Mm-hmm.
That really does blow me away. It really, it's creating, it comes back to the whole idea of consciousness. And like before we come to the end, which we have just very few minutes, what do you guys believe about the philosophical as well as the ethical implications when it comes to this stuff? Just kind of with you guys, what do you think it is ethically as well as philosophical when it comes to biology and machines converging and consciousness too? Go ahead.
I don't think it'll ever have its own consciousness. I just don't. But it would definitely probably work as a computer, and because we based making computers off of how our brains work. So, but I just don't ever think it'll become sentient or have its own, um, you know, take off and have its own computer, because then it would have to make its own neurons and apparently this hadn't gotten that far yet, as far as you have to replace them after what, 6 months?
Every 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That we know of. Okay.
Unless they can come out with a longer lasting neuron, last 5 years or something.
And if they did, they wouldn't tell us about it. So much so, at least not
Indeed.
for a while. Mhm.
All right. Within the vacuum, I heard you getting ready to say something, and then you stopped. What was your feed on that? I know you was getting ready.
I forgot, but yeah, I was listening after that, and I forgot. But yeah, it was something. We were. Okay. Yeah, it's about the description of the thought mechanism. Not exactly, like you're focusing on the brain is like seeing, looking at not exactly is what is happening inside, and there's a pattern of the as well, and that's another angle on how you think when you're designing a new model, like a new capability is different. But we tend to do that, to look everything from the outside because we are obsessed with our physical appearance. But I think it's normal, right?
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I do find that a lot of this stuff, man, to be honest, is very, very interesting. And I'm so glad that I didn't have to hear Mark Edworthy say very much about it, because he gets really irate and starts talking all crazy stuff. He is like, he hates AI with a passion. He hates it so bad that he hates it when you call it AI.
It's not AI.
I don't think you're going to have enough time to give people socials out.
Okay, so with that being said, you guys, do you want to tell anybody how to get a hold of you?
Sure. I'll go real quick. Galacticfire.com. TEC, not TIC, and I've got T-shirts at this point, and a book that's pretty sweet up there, and maybe venturing into more things here sooner or later. But there's mine, and go.
Okay, how about you, within the vacuum? There?
Yeah. What?
Can you feel like
How do we
telling?
get a hold of
How
you?
do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, your socials, as Roger calls it.
Oh, okay. I'm not in socials at the moment. Well, I'm using Instagram regularly because of the way that I get in contact with my local people, right, friends and
Okay.
everything. So I keep
What's
it. That's a
your-
good way.
How
Yeah,
do we
within
find
the
you there?
vacuum. Within the
Within the
vacuum.
vacuum.
Within the
Awesome.
vacuum. Everywhere in your the magnificent T-shirt store from
Yes.
Sonia Galactic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how about you? How about you?
There's an amazing collection of T-shirts made with an algorithm that I've been working on for many years.
Yes, Isaac has his full display. of
All
t-shirts.
right, and I got to take us out of here because we're out of time.
Oh, crap.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been trying to say, everybody, come on, let's go. You didn't have enough time to do this, so I'm going to take us
Roger,
out.
that's your
Catch you
fault.
next time, folks.
Okay, bye.
We still are on stream, so if you guys want to, let's finish up
Yeah.
the
for it.
the
Sorry about that,
socials.
guys.
MC Dirty Work. You want to give everybody your socials?
Yeah, you can find me at D Live. That's MC_Dirty Work, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Eastern. You can also find me at Instagram, that same spelling. And Rumble, MC Dirty Work.
There you go. And how about you, Vicky?
I'm on Telegram for such a time as this. It's the name of my channel. And on X at Booklander62.
Okay, and hopefully we can get Mark Edworthy's audio working. You want to tell everybody how they can find you?
If you can hear me, if it's this working, you can find me at minds.com.
At Medworthy. Yes,
Medworthy.
at Medworthy. And with me, you can find me on, well, everywhere. Just basically look for Live with Roger Hansen or Roger_Hansen. And I'm usually on Teams as well as Discord. I'm on